Okay. Hi there. Can you guys see me? All right. Are you talking though? I can't hear anybody.
Yes, I can see you.
Okay, great. I have my headphones on today, so I wanted to make sure that I could hear everybody. All right. So I think one of the questions that people wanted to go over was small things to use up scrap. How about you guys? Do you have any ideas of what you'd like me to cover and include? No? Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen and just doodle a bit. I think we have up to 5 people who said they were coming, so we'll just see them as they drop in. Here
I'm
is
sorry, I had
my.
to unmute. I couldn't figure out how to unmute this.
Oh, okay. Did you have something you wanted me to cover?
No, I like the idea of the scraps.
I'm sorry, my headphones aren't loud enough. Give me 1 second. All right, what'd you say?
I like the idea of going over the scraps. I'm sorry, I'm a senior hospice foster home for dogs, and it's feeding time at the OK Corral. The
Okay.
scraps.
Yeah, no, I was I understand. I was waiting to see if there was more. So, okay, great. So let's start with scraps. One of the things is doing small pieces. And do you do a lot of earrings? No? Okay. Let's think of other small things you could do. Do you do ornaments? Yes. All right. So let's start there. So, let's say a scrap, we're going to try and keep this within, I'm going to call a scrap about 2 inch by 2 inch. So let me make a guide here. So we're going to keep all of our designs right now within this guide. And I'm going to go ahead and just put it here so I can work on it. And if you notice, I've got my layers here. I'm going to go ahead and just lock the layer that it's on. So I use it as a guide, and then I'm going to make a new layer that I'm actually working on for this. So right now ornaments are big, and the standard thing to do is a rounded ornament. But if you want to do something that's a little more like different, let's go with let me see here. My Illustrator's acting up. There we go. Okay, so we'll start with a circle, and instead of making it a perfect circle, we're going to actually make it an oblong. So I'm going to hold Alt for the center of it, and then we're going to pull it out to a shape that we like. And this is looking pretty good. One of the things Illustrator likes to do is it fills in as default, you're a fill white and a black outline. So I always just change my fill to transparent because then I can see exactly what's going on. All right, this looks pretty good. And let's go ahead and make our ornament topper. So this is kind of a little guy. So I would say this might be something that you do as some charm that goes into a card and then they can put on their tree. Something along those lines. I'm going to make this here a circle that's going to get kind of eaten up by our oval a little bit. And then I'm actually going to take that circle and get a smaller one out of it by doing my offset path negative. And we're going to give it about a negative 0.06. That's half the thickness of MDF. So you'll have a nice gap right there that you can drop any type of ornament hook into, a ribbon. Since it is, let's see here, it is about 1/4 of an inch wide. So your 1/4 inch ribbon should fit and give a little fold nicely there. So I'm going to go ahead and merge these two circles since we want them to be the shape itself. Here we go to unite over here. And then that's nicely done. If you don't want the sharpness here on these two pieces, if you select them, it gives you the little rounding tool and you can actually see the cursor. It's hard to see on this, but you can see the cursor adds a little rounding to it as well. And so this will let you just kind of ease off that sharpness a bit by pulling back. And it shows you what the depth is that you're doing. So like right now it's 0.01. If I wanted to do something that was really deep, then I could keep going and keep going. I don't think we want to go this much. This is starting to kind of look like an odd dog tag style. I just want to kind of round it off so that the laser has an easier time getting into those corners. You'll always want something that you can kind of round a little bit versus a sharp corner because the laser will thank you for it later. All right, so now we have to decide what's going to go on this. And you can do two things. If you do personalized ornaments, then you can add somebody's name to this. Or if you want to just do a standard ornament, you can do any kinds of holiday greetings. So let's type holiday greetings. Oops, and the cat left caps lock on for me again. She comes over and drinks my water that I have right here. And she steps on the keyboard as she goes, and it's almost always caps lock. All right, so, oops, we want that to be holidays. We're going to start with this, and we're going to pick a font first. I have a few nice holiday fonts that I've been using. So we could use something like this one. Let me check here. I had one in another file. Give me 1 second. I'm going to open up my Santa list. Santa key. And that one actually has got a live text in it. If I can find it. All right, let's sort by name here. Here we go. Santa key AI. I do this a lot where I'll find something that I really like and then I save it out where it has the font live, and then I'll go ahead and I'll do my create outlines to make sure that everything's good for doing the engraving. But then I'll come back to it and I can see that this is Harina regular. So I can either copy this and bring it in, or which I'll probably do, or I can find it now in my list by just typing. If I go here, I can just start typing Harina and find it there that way as well. And this is pretty, but I know that this font has a lot of flourishes that you can add. So we're going to look for something for the H. So we're going to open up the glyph window, if it'll open up. My Illustrator's been slow today, even though I've quit out and open everything back up again. Okay, so we probably want something that goes down under or comes out to the left. So let's see what they've got. It looks like this one has an interesting H that goes that way. That's kind of nice. We can also go with a flourish like that. One that curls in like that. I'm kind of partial to stuff that overlaps a little like that. Or this one looks like it does the top flourish. That's the same flourish as the Y, so I don't think we want to copy that. And there's another one. So what do you think? Do you want to do the simple left-hand flourish, or do you want to do the one that comes curling up around the O? You can just put up one or two for your fingers. One. All right, so we'll leave this one in. And I want to come, I know the L's got something. So we're going to see what that has. And you can actually just look at all of the letters here as you go. If you're interested to see like what might be an fun thing to work with. The L doesn't look like an L anymore. So I'm going to undo. And I know that there's a nice flourish on the O that just adds, I think there is actually. LM and no. Oh, I thought this had a flourish that was down in the center of the O. All right, so I don't think there's really anything else we want to do a flourish on. The Y flourish is nice because it crosses the A like that. So we're going to pull this down and we're going to use the Alt key. So right now I'm using the black arrow is what I call it. It's the selection tool. And this is the one that'll select the whole thing versus little parts of it like the white arrow. So black arrow, Alt key for duplicate, and I'm holding Shift to bring it straight up. So that's an easy way of just copying something and pulling it up versus doing the copy and the paste keys, which will kind of put it wherever it wants to. So this is going to be happy. So now we're going to look at the A flourishes. And that's an interesting one. You have to keep reselecting your letter that you're working with. So that's nice. And we know we have Y flourishes. So let's see what else is different with the Ys. That's almost the same as what we have below, isn't it? Now that looks a little too the same. I'm not sure about that at all. Okay, so let's go to a simple Y. Or was it? I thought I had one. Nope. I think I'll just leave it as a regular Y. And we're going to pull these up, and you can see in 2 inches, we're going to have a lot of space for this. And 2 inches is just about an inch shy of what a standard ornament is. And you can see we're not even filling the full 2 inches here. So this will be a cute little mini ornament. And depending on the size that you decide to make it, you can even size it down a little bit more, because some people do the mini trees that you can buy at Michael's and various places. So one of the things that you want to do when you're working with type is if you double click so that you're in it, you can see the space between the letters here. And sometimes it looks like there's just a little bit too much space between some. If you look up here in the gaps in between here or the gaps between here. So in this, I don't think I'll modify much, except that I want to get this curve to actually touch the P more. So I'm going to select that, and the way that you can easily modify this is you hold the Alt key and you use your arrow keys. So if I use the right arrow key, it spaces it away more. If I use the left arrow key, it pulls it in more. So I can just pull it in, and then now that curve actually touches and we'll have a nice big piece. We could do the same with the Y so that the Y touches, but there's no reason for that because this is actually going to be on a solid. It would matter if we were cutting it out as the word itself only. And you can see I'm hanging the Y over a little bit, and that's because I'm going to do an outline letter that outline path, sorry, that is going to come back, and we're going to merge that in with this ornament shape that we've already made. All right, so now if we look, I'm going to put this away now. If we look, that's about 33 point. So I'm going to pull this up and put it at 33, and we're probably going to want to size it down a little. because we want it to fit nicely. So, oops. That's what you get for fonts too, is they like to hang over each other. Okay, so I'm going to take this down. Same thing as you're transforming anything. Go down until you see the little corner arrows and hold shift, and this will pull it down from the corner so that you can see where your placement's going to be. I think I'm liking that better. So that gives a little space for the flourishes. Our H is matched though. I didn't realize that. So let me come back here and see if we've got another option for the H. Let's go with that. I think that looks a little better, and that flourish hasn't been used yet. Okay. So we're going to pull this down toward the center. We probably want some sort of a little border that goes above and below. So let's do a star. So you can just come to the star tool and click, and then you'll get the option to do a 5-pointed star, and you can make it as big or as pointy as you want. So you can make it really pointy, or you can make it hardly pointy. It's all dependent on what you choose as your outside line and the inside pucker of it. So I'm gonna stick with what the standard is, which I think is what I used last time, which looks pretty good. It just happens to be a bit big. I'm gonna pull that down. And I'm actually going to run that as an outline. So we're going to use this as a cut. So we're going to start here. And I'm just going to duplicate and pull this over. We're going to rotate and put this in. Pull this guy over. Rotate again. Just kind of tuck these guys in with each other. So rotate, oops. I think we can keep doing this until we get back to the other one, or I think this might actually give us a good pattern. So let's make sure these are all still aligned. I'm going to pull them down there. And actually, we probably want to align center versus bottom. So I'm going to do that. And then I'm going to see if I can just take the rest of these across. That's almost there. So it looks like we want one more star in the center. And I'll pull that out and make another one that we then rotate to fill in. Okay, I'm going to rotate 2 of them. And then this way I can get it to, I guess I'll rotate all of them. They keep touching. The nice thing is once we've got this pattern fixed, then I can just copy it down to the bottom. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to copy this. Actually, I'm just going to use the Alt key and do my duplicate down again and drag it all the way down to the bottom here. And you can see that's approximately where it is, how you have the angles on the 2 stars that are on the outline here. So we're going to leave that. This is a little close to our text. So I'm going to pull the text up to the center more. There we go. There. So now the one thing I want to do before all this is I want to do an outline that takes, actually, first I want to save this. So this is the thing that I usually do, and then, or I'll figure out to do, and then I try and make sure I do it later, is I'm going to save this as small ornament AI, and that keeps the text live. And then I'm going to go through and I'm going to select the text, go up to type, create outlines. And since we do have overlapping lines, I'm going to go to Pathfinder and Unite. And then you can see that's all one piece now. Now I'm going to take that and do an offset path so that we get that nice border around the sides. So this offset path, instead of going negative like we did for the circle up here, I'm actually going to go positive. So we're going to add an offset path of 0.06, whoops, and see what that looks like. And so right now you can see it's all squares, which isn't really the kind of style we're going for this ornament. So instead of miter, you want to change it to a round outline. And this looks like it's got a nice enough outline to go through and actually give us some shapes here. And it doesn't look too wide. So I'm going to say okay. And since it's multiple pieces, we're going to merge that together. And then I'm actually going to swap this over to a stroke. I like to change the color. Oops, sorry, I accidentally hit tab. I like to change the color on this because then that way I know that this is the piece that I'm working with versus the other stuff. So if we look at this, we can see that there's little bits that we don't want at all. And I'm going to take the white arrow, which is the direct selection. I'm going to click off so not everything is selected. And I'm going to select the little pieces and delete. And this is nice because you don't have to go into the group of the paths and delete it that way. You can just go through and get the individual pieces that you're trying to get out and not have to worry about it. I'm going to leave this guy in since we're going to merge this shape, and that'll be a nice cutout for our end ornament. So speaking of merging, we're going to take this shape, and you can see the text is actually included now because of the merge. When it changed the grouping when you did the outline stroke. So we're going to take all this text and we're going to copy and cut it. And then we're going to take it out and we're going to Control F to paste it in front. And then that way it's not in the group anymore. We want to do the same for, this little guy here, because we don't want him to be part of this shape that gets merged with the outline. So we're going to put him there. Okay, so now we take this outline. You can see nothing else is selected but the outline. And you also hold shift, select the ornament. And we're going to unite again. You can see it's merged everything in and it has this nice little rounding for the letters. So it's a little bit outside of the norm. You're not just having a round ornament with stuff inside of it. Let's see. This is now going to be our cut line. Actually, we go do these stars too. So give me a second. I'm going to copy these stars and I'm going to do the exact same thing. Object, path, offset path. It's going to remember what we did last time. And this time you might want to do a miter and then just soften those a little bit just because those are, but this is a bit wide, I think. So for the stars, we're going to go half the distance and go to 0.03. And then you can see that's a nicer shape. So it doesn't look quite as overwhelming as it did before. I'm going to see what round looks like again. No, that looks too floral. So we're going to go with miter and I'm going to hit OK. And you can see it's made its own group again, which we don't mind because we're just going to merge that whole group in with the outline. So I'm going to do this again and unite. And you can see now we've got our pieces. We did get a little tail piece there, you can see. And that's because there's two anchors that didn't quite merge because of the shape. Usually with this is rounded, you can see, and then that's sharp. So you take your A key, which is direct select, and you come back and you're going to select that point, and you're just going to pull it down so that it fits nicely as an elbow there versus having that sharp piece. And this is something that I like to just check as I'm making some designs so that I go through and I look and make sure that there's no extra nodes that are creating any issues in the design itself. Right here, we can also straighten this up a bit. You can see that this guy, when we did that rounded text outline, it added a little bit of a bump here and we don't really need it. So in here, it's kind of nice because we can just remove those anchor points. So I'm going to hit the minus, which will then bring up the minus pen tool. And this is actually removing anchor points. So we can just click there and click there, and you can see now it's back to a nice straight line. So let's keep going up and around real quick, and it looks like we're good. All right, so now we want to cut these guys out. So what I like to do is I set my cut lines to red. So I'm going to set them to red, and I'm going to set them to like 0.5 stroke because that reminds me that it's just a cut. We're not doing anything with the thickness of it. And that's going to be the same thing here. And the nice part about having multiple lines for anything where you're trying to make it the same style is instead of having to go here and then come over here and select and then change the thickness of the stroke and all that, you can hit the I key, which is for eyedropper. And then you just select the item that you want to copy the style of. And you can see right there now it's matching. All right, so we also are going to do that with the outline here because this is going to be our outside cut line. And then we also want to select this guy here because that's going to cut the inside of our I guess our hanger, you can call it. Oh, I don't have it selected. That would help. There we go. All right, so now what we have is, oops, let me go through and select these guys. They're going to be cuts as well. And we might want to go in and soften these corners just a little bit. So I'm going to hit the A tool so I can directly just grab that corner, grab that corner. You can see it gave me my little round tool again with the softening. And I'm going to do very, very lightly, just a little bit there. And that'll give the laser a rounding on it. It'll make sure that anyone handling the ornament doesn't really get poked by it. It's softer and it doesn't really change much because you can see right now we're zoomed in to 2000%. So when we come back out, I'm going to soften these first before we do. So again, just a little bit there. Come down here. And soften these as well. And then last time. And soften that. So now we're gonna zoom back out, which I hold Control Space, which is your zoom in, and Alt, which is your zoom out. And you can also use the mouse to just pull it out as well. And right now it'll tag out to round numbers here. So you can see now it's 150 and then now it's 100. So this is what our little ornament is looking like so far. This is the actual size. We can kind of take advantage of some of this space here. So I'm going to resize it so that it actually takes up the bottom there. So again, just shift and the arrow key, and you're going to pull it down, and then that's going to be your 2 inches tall. And some people could say, okay, that my scraps are 1 inch tall. If so, I'm going to go back to my layers with my guides. Let's do a 1 inch tall square. So 1 by 1, you can try and see what will fit in this, and if you can do anything that'll make it so that it's working for you for even smaller scraps that you may have. So I'm going to copy this whole thing over. And remember, with designs like this, you can just scale them down because there's no thickness to them. And the only thing you really have to worry about is how small you get on the actual cuts. I've gotten pretty thin cuts on mine. So what I like to do, there we go, is I go in and I measure. And if you have, oh, I'm forgetting the name of the tools right now. Astute tools. They have a free measurement tool. I believe it's free. That you can actually take it and it gives you a ruler. So you can come out here and then, oh, for some reason, it's not looking like it's giving me my Illustrator's been messing with me today. Okay. Oh, I see. I've got to update my license, so that's why. Every time you have to update the plugins, then it turns them all off, which I hadn't noticed until just now. So what we're going to do instead is we're going to come back off that tool. And let's see here. Well, for some reason, I'm not able to select it. There, I can select that. Okay, there. So we're going to go to properties and we're going to see that it's a 0.06 star, which means that this center should be fine for cutting, because what I've found is I can cut down to about a 0.03 or 4 and it'll still cut very well. So you'll get that shape out of it. So this actually gives you two shapes to use with all of your scraps. And you can go through and do other designs with that. I can see we still have a half hour here. So I'm going to come up with a different design. And let's take these guys and move them off the guides. Oops, I lost a piece of it. There we go. We'll move that off. And let's try another one. So let's just do, we can do a simple ornament. So if we do a circle, actually, let's try doing one of those old-fashioned ornaments. Let's see if I can do this here. So we're going to start from the center and we're going to pull out. I'm going to copy this guy down and I'm just going to pull it in a little bit. I don't know if you've seen these. And I'm going to copy that down. And that one goes in just a little more. And then we're going to take a square, which, oops, let me hold shift down so I get a nice square. We're then going to turn it up into a diamond. And we're going to pull that guy, make him a little smaller. There we go. Now, that guy is going to line up with the curve here. And we're going to remove that path, or sorry, that anchor. And then I'm going to use the A key, the white arrow. I'm going to pull this down some. And then what we're going to do is we're going to get kind of a curve on each of these. So I can use the, it's the arrow tool. Oops, sorry. If you go here, sorry, it's under the pen tool because it's an anchor point. There's an anchor point tool right here, which you can see is Shift C, and that changes to where you can actually go to the anchor point and it'll change your handles for you. Now the handles are what makes it go in the direction that it is. So if you notice, once I start pulling, it actually has a different shape that it makes because the handles are here. So if I say, you know what I want is, I want to pull some handles out so I can do this separately. But what I really want is I want to take this and kind of change the shape of it. So right now I hit the A key, oops, and I'm going to select Shift C, and I'm going to break it. So now I'm going to come in and curve this guy in a bit. And that's pretty much just straight up that I'm pulling the anchor. And oops. Now we can say, okay, we like the curve that that's going. Grab this other anchor and we're going to bring it up to do the same thing at the same height. And we'll finish this off with a little ball. So you can see you can kind of just make up shapes. You don't have to just stick with the round shape that everybody does. And you can end up with something that looks old-fashioned. Oh, we still need to add like a cap to this or something. And kind of sets you apart from everybody else when you're selling your ornaments. This, because you're in the 2-inch size, would also do well as an earring. So let's see here. And that's the same with the happy holidays. Just take a minute to either change the size of this, or you can just add a jump ring in on that and leave it the size it is. And that can be an earring as well in either size. The 1-inch size is really popular with some people, 2-inch to 3-inch is popular with others. So you can kind of cover all your bases. So gift tag, ornament, earring, all sorts of stuff that you can do with just one design. And what did we say? We're going to come over here and let's do a rounded rectangle on the top of this so the squares don't feel like they're left out. Going to come from the center again. And we're going to add one more here. And this is kind of getting a little retro vibe. And we'll add a circle on top because we need something to hang it with, and circles always look good. All right. So this is a 0.2-inch circle, so you're a little bit shy of doing your 1/4 inch with that size, and then we'll have an offset into that for -0.06 again. So we're going to go negative 0.06, and then that'll be our hanger shape. So I think this is looking pretty good. And the first thing I'm going to do then is go through and select all of these, and we're going to merge them together so we get our shape. Now, no one would know that all you did was use shapes for that, although it looks like the ball, I'm going to undo for a second. It looks like the ball may not actually be well attached there, so I'm going to bring him up some. And we'll do this, and we have a lot of room with this one, so yeah, I'm gonna have to go back down there and check on that. Oops. I accidentally got the center guy there at that time. There we go. And let's size this out to 2 inches. So there you go. And now we can go in and we can add any type of thing that we want as a decoration on this. We may have room for letters in this wide one right here. I'm just going to add some little dots. This will be engraves, so they'll be filled. And I like to do pink for my engrave in my files. So I'm just going to copy these along and kind of do one up, one down, and then one over, one down. And I think that's enough that we can get a pattern going here. So let's copy that across. It'd be about there. Copy that across. And we'll end up copying it across and deleting some of these guys to get the final piece. So we copy that across, and then we're going to take a look at it and see what we think. So all of these guys, make sure you don't select your outline, are going to go away. And if we take a look back, because like right now we're at 800%. So let's go back to 100. And it kind of looks random. So I think I'm going to come in and pull some more down. So this guy's going to come down more. So it's a little more obvious. It's kind of more of a gross shape versus a really fine shape. And we're going to come up and then down. I think I'm going to have to add some dots here. Sorry, that guy is going to go there and then down. Actually, you know what? I'm just going to delete these guys and copy this again. And this can be, you know, if you're making cookies out of this, these could be the icing dots, or they could be the little rounds that you can buy now. And heck, if you're not using them as eyes, you can even get the little eye icing dots they have now and use those. So it would add kind of a two-color thing there. And now you can see that we have a nice pattern that you can see when it's going to be a small item. Now, let's see what word we want to put in. How about if we put in the word piece? You can see we still have the font from last time. So I'm going to, oh, that's nice. It already did the nice flourish for us. And it's obviously a little bit big. So I'm going to size this down. And we'll see, that looks like that fits nicely right there. Now with that, we won't really decorate down here since it's already got this flourish going. So let's come over here and decide what we want to do with this. It's kind of like if you did a glass ornament, you know, this is the curve or the join, which technically it is joined for us too. Now we could just copy this guy down, which is a pretty nice pattern, I think. And then you just take from it what you need. I think we go up there a little, and you can see we don't need any of that. We don't need any of those. Oops, I got that again. And let's take those out. And we'll probably take that guy out too. There. Oh, right. Let's see. What else can we add to this? I'm thinking maybe up here in this, we want to have something. I think maybe just a lightly curved line. Nothing really heavy, but something that we can kind of just use as almost as if you were sketching, you would use it as just a little piece of something to define it. So we're going to outline this, and since it's going to be a stroke, we're going to use this as a score in our design, and I'm going to take the top of this off. So we're actually breaking the line here because it's just going to be this line that the laser follows. It doesn't have to be a closed shape for this. If you did select this as an engrave, then it would try and close this shape into kind of a watermelon slice, and you don't really want that. So this will be just a nice stroke, and I'm sorry, I keep saying stroke, score, and I like to make my score lines green. So we'll zoom out, we'll look at that. And I think we could probably do that as kind of an accent on some of these other pieces. I think I want to make that in a little bit smaller, just because it won't be as obvious when it's actually 100%. So let's try that. And that's still a little tight at 100%. So I'm going to tighten that up even more. And I think I'm going to pull it down a little bit, because then that way it actually feels like it's part of that curve. Actually, you know what? We're gonna want to pull that there. I think that'll work. We're gonna go with that. All right, so I think I actually want to pull this up above as well for this hole. And we're gonna pull this in even further since it's smaller. We may end up kind of mushing this down too, because this is a pretty heavy curve for just doing an accent. So let's add that, and then let's back up and take a look at our design. This looks like we're at 100 right now. So it adds just a little something that will come through. And now we've kind of got this flourish here, but now it's feeling a little lonely because we have added so much decoration on the rest of these. So I think what we might do is add in a couple of stripes that just curve. And let me just do the pen tool here, I think. And we'll start here and just add a nice curve like that. And then I'll just take that and we're going to copy it across for probably just the two. And then we're going to do a straight line right there. Oops. Getting ahead of myself with the shift key. Okay, right there. And then now we're going to take these two guys and we're actually going to come up here to the reflect tool and we're going to reflect them along this path so that now we'll have a nice copy right there. So this is kind of mimicking that fluted glass effect that you might get. All right, and let's see, we still have to deal with, we still have to deal with this guy down here, which feels a little too narrow right here. So we're gonna go in and I think what we're gonna do is just pull this out a little. So you can see we're gonna pull out like 0.02, maybe? Actually, that looks a little far. So let's go back there some. Of course, it's only telling us 0.01, so we're going to have to eyeball this for this side. And I think that looks about right. So that gives us a lot more for the bottom piece of this. And we can add something to the bottom too. So if we want to, we could add just another score line. And this might be a nice spot for someone to put a bauble in, like you could put a stick rhinestone flat back in here. Let's make that just a little smaller and see what size that is. So that's 0.09. I think I've got some rhinestones about that size that I got from Michael's. So you can just drop one in on there and use the score line as your guide. So we're going to change this to the green and excuse me, and the 0.5. There. So I think that's pretty much done. And the key thing for this one is that we're going to want to, if we resize it down to the smaller, we're going to want to remove some of this, I think. Let's see. Maybe not. We're almost there. No, I think that would still look pretty good. So there's two different designs. You can see that we've made just using shapes and text, and both of them would be great additions to be able to sell for as mini ornaments, earrings, wine tags, excuse me, wine charms, I guess they're calling them. I call them tags. And gift tags, little things that you can just tuck around the house as an ornament as well. So, maybe hang them from something like your excuse me, your floral arrangements instead of just putting them on a tree or having a mini tree of your own to do it. So I'll show you. I think I can show you. Let me see what screens I can share. Let me stop the share real quick and I'm going to share screen and see. No. Oh, wait. Show all windows. Okay, here. So I'm going to share this screen. I'm going to go to my Glowforge. And you can see that if you have something with a lot of gaps in it, and this is a piece that I was working on and did my Santa ornament. Let me come back over and it doesn't take the AI. So I'm going to actually save out one of these guys. And let's see. No, it won't let me switch. I'm not going to worry about switching it back. So you guys will just be looking at my Glowforge for a minute. So I'm going to save out one of these guys as a file for an SVG. And let's call this Happy Holidays. SVG. And now I'm going to go back to the Glowforge and I'm going to go to my dashboard, create a new design, upload a file, and I'm going to find, oh, where did I make this? Happy Holidays right there. We go through the processing and here we go. So you can see this is the 2-inch shape and I'd be able to make one of them here in this little gap. And obviously I'd have to focus it to make sure, but I think I can get pretty tight in onto that other one that was cut out. I could probably get a couple of these actually if I copied and paste it. So let's take that one. We could do it over here. One of the things to remember is you don't always have to have straight pieces. So if you come into something and you say, you know what, it'd be much better if I could just kind of get it into that corner right there, then you can easily just change the shape and tuck it in. And then that way you're actually getting a lot more out of your material than you would do if you were just doing the straight up and down, or if you only rotated it to the full size. Sorry, full size. And let me copy and paste. Copy, paste. There we go. If you only rotated it once that way. So in fact, in this, you can kind of play a game of kind of seeing how tight you can get it. One of the things I believe the Glowforge does is if you do have angled engraves, then it will take a little bit longer because it likes the straight lines. So one of the things you want to do too is right now I have draft board in on your engrave. Make sure it's a draft engrave. That'll go faster and it looks really good. And then on your cut, it's just going to be the proof grade cut. This one is not the design that we did that has scores, so we don't have that showing right here. But otherwise, I think I've gotten everything covered. I can do a few more designs next time, or if you guys want to give me a couple of comments or something and let me know what other topics you'd like to cover, then I can go through that list as well. All right. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you next time. If I know how to close this out. Stop share. Hi there and bye there.